Is it possible to nurture a lifelong learner as well as teach that there are simply things that must be done even if they don't want to?
Yes, this shows up fairly often each day, right? Oh, do I have to sweep the bathroom floor, right? And this is how we do it here is use the chores, like the household work, as the required thing. Because then this academic things can be the reward when you finish those other things. And it works pretty well. Even I don't mind cleaning the house, but if given the option to clean the house or, read with the kids, reading with the kids would be, much more fun, right? And so the kids, I imagine, reflect that, especially if they feel it from me, right? That let's just do the chores and get those under our belt so then we can get on to the fun learning things, right? There's value in teaching the kids this kind of thing because there are things you have to do even if you don't want to do them, right? You just really have to, take care of your personal hygiene things so that you can be healthy. You just really have to eat healthy food so you can be healthy. You really, it's hard to home educate in chaos. I don't do really well with that. Some people have a higher tolerance of it than probably I do, but I really don't like having lots of like visual clutter as well as just like disorganization of stuff. And so I don't like to spend a lot of time in the learning time in the day hunting for this or that or the other thing. It's nice if it's organized so we can find it quick and carry on. So I think that's a good way. At least it's worked out well here. Yeah, you can work on your fun project, Jeffrey, as soon as you finish your cleaning.
Right.
We generally rotate through rooms, so we're kind of doing it together. That's not always the case. Like when we're doing bedroom cleaning, everybody's doing their own thing there. But that way, if someone needs help, you can help them. And if not, then they're just independent on their own. The one thing that I remember sometimes a mom's role is to just check the things, right? Earl Holding, who's the owner of all the Little America establishments, great man, great businessman, very wise. There's a quote that in one of his hotels that he said, and it said, "You get what you inspect, not what you expect." And I really love that because it's true, especially with raising kids. If you expect something, you should probably adjust your expectation.
True.
And not assume that they're doing, whether that's mischievous or if it's just when they're doing their chores, right? They're just general home management help. It's good to inspect it so that if they need to improve it, redo it, change it up a bit, and then be praised in the process of that, then you can provide that. Age appropriate, of course. It's
Sure.
always good to have that age appropriateness. But the reason that's beneficial is because then it translates, that kind of thing translates into academic things as well. If you are just letting them kind of slide by the wayside and not worry about, oh, that's not that big of a deal that you missed half the crumbs on the kitchen floor. That can translate over into academic things as well. Well, you almost, got those words spelled right, something like that. Then they're used to you looking at what they've done and, saying positive things and giving them any sort of feedback that would be beneficial for them. So it's not quite, they don't feel like they're being critiqued, with only academic things, but also just home management things. Not that we want to make it feel like a critique, but, praising the things they've done well. And then when we sense that it's time for them to improve it a bit, again, age appropriate, then we can invite them to improve it. And that works really well because then they get this positive sense of, learning is so great. It's something I do for leisure, and it's worked out well here.
So a quick comment and then a question or a follow-up question, inside this. But first, the comment about the chores, I do think that's critical, even though, as a kid, it's somewhat bothersome to do chores.
Right?
Right? But I think that helps eliminate part of the stereotypical homeschooler, because part of that stereotype, at least for me, is you walk into the house and it's just a disaster. And, I think we've all experienced that. And, it's hard when, 24/7 all the kids are there, right? And to ever get on top of it can sometimes seem challenging. But it's doable so long as you help them, learn the value of clean and organized, from like day one, literally. This isn't a thing that starts at 5. It should be a thing that starts at, 2 months old,
Yes, that's right.
So, and yeah, I don't think people fully understand the value that the chores bring to school, so to speak, even though they're not necessarily sitting there studying their workbook or whatever. But just general work ethic and, how to care for a house that's going to be a lifelong thing for them, right? Their place of residence. They may not be a homeowner or whatever, it doesn't matter. Just wherever your abode is, whether it be a tent or a mansion, right? Take care of things. So I think that's really good. But the follow-up question that I'm just curious to know your perspective on is, and this comes again from my perspective as the kid, I can vividly remember being bummed that I had to do my chores, but did them. And then, maybe certain parts of the academics were fun and exciting for me, but boy, it sure seemed like a lot more fun to go out in the garden and dig a hole as opposed to sit down and, work on my math now as a reward for finishing my chores. That seemed a little lousy, from time to time.
Sure.
So how do you balance that?
Yeah, that's a fabulous question. Again, it comes from a kid that likes to be active and stuff. We don't want to discourage that either. And so home educating is really all about the whole person, educating them their whole self, not just only academics versus, we tend to pigeonhole things and, not consider it as the whole person. Kids have a lot of energy and they need to use it. So if digging a hole, that some of our fondest memories in the spring were the big hole that you dug in the garden, right? Every spring, like deep, so that the kids disappeared, when you put them down in the hole. And, frankly, the younger kids don't like to do that as much, and I kind of miss it actually because it was fun. It was it signaled some of those early warm days. It was so much fun, and it helped aerate the garden, so it wasn't a big deal. And now we'll see about the 2 youngest guys. They might do that because they have dug a few holes recently,
Nice.
right? Yeah. So again, if we can get away from the sit down work, right? Especially, and when kids are little up to age, 12 or 14 or something like that, because they really have this insatiable desire to explore and also to use their agency to make choices. Agency being that power to choose. Kids really love that. And that's partly why they kick against it if you're getting in the way of them making their choices, And so, to the extent that you can try to, in the case of you, when you want to dig a hole in the garden, what benefits are you going to see with that? Well, I can remember a lot of cool bugs we found, and you could see the layers, of dirt and how hard it got as you got down deeper. The clay, and literally you could see the layers going down, which was fun. How do we work together as a team with the little kids that are wanting to help? Oh well, I'll just fill this bucket and pass it up to you, and you dump it in the pile. So there's a teamwork element with it that came into play with it. And being outside and breathing the fresh air and getting the sunshine, is a really great thing. So kids feel better and moms feel better too, because sometimes we can't be out there all the time to enjoy it, but it's a nice way of just experiencing the seasons. The smell of the air and the feel of the humidity in the air, or lack thereof, depending on the season of the year, is something that we don't tend to pay as much attention to, but we probably should, just so that we're aware and in the present. Our society is so focused on, uh, electronic communication. They're a great blessing, right? As long as we use them as tools that benefit us.
Yeah. Well, and every kid's going to be different, as you alluded to. So for me, I found joy in digging in the dirt, but not everyone's going to do that. But we can fast forward now, because now we have the benefit of hindsight, and look back. And you obviously mentioned a few things that one could learn, but for me specifically, so to one just looking out with a potential school teacher mindset, it'd be seeing a little kid digging this giant hole in the dirt and saying that he's not learning anything. It's not going to benefit him at all, in the future. How is he going to make money digging holes, right? Or good money digging holes. He might be able to make a little bit of money digging holes. But the truth of the matter is, you learn about the dirt and stuff, but valuable lessons that I learned. I ran into a lot of large rocks, so I learned the most efficient way to extract those as part of the hand excavation, projects and what have you in the garden. And then in addition to that, I learned how dirt stacks and distance that needed to be for certain sizes of piles to not have the dirt roll back into the hole. And you put a bunch of dirt back in, that you just threw out, right? And there's actually quite the science to that. And maybe some engineering in the sense that you learn about how big to make the hole, how to shore up the sides so that it doesn't fall in and stuff, because you experience that, and experience is the best teacher. And then fast forward to a period of time in my life where, and still a little bit to this day, where I did a lot of work in landscaping and especially sprinklers, underground irrigation sprinklers. And I can dig a trench and a hole significantly faster than a lot of other people around me that I've worked side by side with, because I know how to get rid of the rocks, and I know how to stack the dirt so that it's as close as possible to the trench or the hole for easy backfilling, but we're not letting the dirt fall back in during the process. And time is money, they say, right? And so you can actually make a ton of money if you know how to dig efficiently in the dirt, and know how it interacts and how it works. So anyway, you can't underestimate the power of learning in anything, right? You're always learning, even though it may not appear like you are from the world perspective that we've grown so accustomed to.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, and you are not, if you had asked you the day you were digging the hole, what did you learn? You're not necessarily going to be able to verbalize that, but over time and experience, and as your brain matures, then you figure out, oh, I was learning that. We alluded to this in a previous question. It's really difficult to say what a child is learning from any experience. Every child is different, and they're coming at it from a different place.
Yeah.
And so it's very, very difficult to ever guess and ever plan what you want your kids to learn. Now, does that mean you shouldn't plan? No, it doesn't mean that. You do the best that you can, right? And then trust God to take care of the rest, right?